Hello, once again. Martin Popoff here. Welcome back to another episode of The Contrarians. This is another solo show. We do these from time to time. We've got our regular situation, which is our classic show where somebody has a contrarian choice for an album that they think is the best album by the band. But then we got a little cheeky as time went on. We've done Build a Bad Album series. We had some Aerosmith ones come out recently that I did with Tim. And we've done a bunch of those lately, and they're kind of fun too. But we also have done the worst album series, where we've gone through and said, okay, what is sort of a consensus choice, or maybe not consensus choice for worst album by a band. Can't see my shirt here. It's my Getty Oil 2112. See the gas prices there. So we're doing Rush today. I know we've done a worst album, Rush. Ryan came on and argued for the debut album by Rush being the worst album. But nobody from the actual Contrarian set has done a worst album thing. So I thought I'd do one, and this could be a bit of a contentious choice, but for worst Rush album, I mean, it's changed over the years for me from time to time, but I'm going to go with Movie Pictures. There you go. The cover, it's called that because it's like they're on a movie set. So hence there's movie pictures there. Filmed famously at the Ontario public bathhouses. You know how the Finnish have their whole sauna thing? Well, in Toronto here, Ontario, basically Ontario and Toronto, but Toronto's got the biggest ones. That's the big public bathhouse thing that we have. So movie pictures, 1980, 1981, something like that. It's some people do consider it a pretty good Rush album. I'm not that crazy about it. I kind of they're entering the new wave of British heavy metal sort of era. You'd think something would rub off on that, but it's not a very heavy album. I think Singles is a heavier album. I'm kind of happier with the direction they go with there. I've got some other ones that I want to just mention later, on the flip side of the good albums where it's kind of more thoughtful and it's about travel and feelings and thoughts and stuff like that. That's what you get when you get up to these sorts of Rush albums. But just to sort of give a little bit of a background on Movie Pictures. There's my signed copy there. So you've got Getty and Neil and Rick on there. Very cool. Rush, they're a band that they've been around for a while. By the time they put this out, this is about their 10th album, 12th album, something like that. They're kind of considered the baby Triumph. Triumph is sort of the band that gets more of the accolades, and they've had more success sort of thing. And Rush is sort of like Triumph wannabes kind of thing. Still a pretty good band out of Canada. They did pretty well out there in the world. They're pretty famous. I mean, a lot of people know about them for sure. So this record, just not that great of an album. Just to go through the tracks a little bit, you've got Tom Sawyer, famous one that's co-written by Pi Dubois, who wrote a lot of the lyrics, most of the lyrics, 80% for Jethro Tull. Actually, I'm talking to Ian Anderson shortly. I haven't been doing a lot of interviews lately, but I am going to talk to Ian Anderson again. He's always a good interview, but I'm going to ask him about that. He probably doesn't get asked about working with Pi Dubois all that much, but like Neil told me when I did those Rush books, I did that trilogy thing. Pi's an interesting guy where there has to be a lot of sort of editing of what goes on, of what he does, but I don't think it's that great a song. It's kind of fast, kind of frantic, not that well recorded. The lyrics, they're a little bit strange having this co-write situation in there. Not a particularly good one. Next, you've got Red Barchetta on here. How some of you might be too old to remember this, but there were great cop shows in the 70s. We had Kojak and a lot of people don't remember Stutz Bearcat, but Kojak was a big one, Rockford Files. But Barchetta was a good show there as well, starring Robert Blake. And in Canada, we had You Could Never Get Away with That title anymore. But we had like an indigenous Canadian version of Barketta called Red Barketta up here, and the Rush guys loved it. It's a great cop show. You know, Rush, they'd go on tour, they'd have a lot of time to watch TV, but it was a cool cop show. And yeah, he had like a flashy sports car he'd drive around, you know, be busting bad guys with as he drove around up here. But yeah, it's kind of cool, you know, that they did sort of, you know, had an indigenous cop show kind of situation. And yeah, it's funny when he's shaking guys down, he'd call guys like Charlie Potatoes, you know, hey, come on, Charlie Potatoes kind of thing. And then Alex, he'd like you know, check into hotel rooms and that and use that as his pseudonym, which is kind of funny. So yeah, and then you have YYZ on here. Now, so the funny thing about that one is Cheap Trick has a song on here called YOYOY, and that's the call letters for O'Hare Airport. And Cheap Trick, of course, from Rockford, close enough to Chicago, kind of a Chicago band. So Rush had, you know, they thought, well, we'll write one about our airport's call letters. The Toronto airport is YYZ. So you've got, you know, just kind of a good kind of rivalry going with Cheap Trick with YOYOY and then Rush with YYZ. But yeah, not that great a song as well. Limelight closes out this. So Limelight, this is Alex writing a song about how he's always sort of you know, he's always considered to be like the most sociable guy in Rush, and he's always out there, and he really hated that role. He hates people, kind of thing, right? But yet he's the guy who's always pushed out to do that sort of thing. So he wanted to write a song about you know, having to deal with fame. You know, he wanted to call it Lifelight, but the guys basically thought that was kind of a stupid thing. And then Neil, as the story goes, and it's in my Rush book, you know, I did like what's the first one called? Anthem, Limelight, Driven, right? So in the first, no, this would be the second one, I guess, that deals with this, right? Because the second one is, well, yeah, I called it that, and it's the same sort of colors. So yeah, so as the story goes, Neil goes into this long, boring story. You know, Neil's Mr. Know-It-All kind of guy, right? And he goes into this story about how in the old days, you know, like the lights they had lime in them or something, you know, and it was part of the movie business in the early 1920s or whatever. So he basically wore Alex down and said, all right, we don't have to go with Lifelight, we'll go with Limelight, sort of thing. So that's the story of that one. And again, not that great a song. One of the things about it that's kind of interesting is it's got a little bit of like a dropped beat or kind of a time signature difference thing in it, which almost caused the band to break up when they were working on this, because Neil can't deal with that sort of stuff. You know, he's more of a 4/4 kind of guy, and he just couldn't get this beat. I mean, I remember hearing Pat Travers tell me about that with Heat in the Street with Tommy Aldrich, right? But yeah, the beat really confounded him because he's frankly not that good. I mean, you know, the guy, other than lyrics, the guys would have been better off, obviously, with John Rutsey in the band. But so essentially, you know, they worked it out, and they've got this song, and it's got a little bit of a tricky beat to it, kind of thing. But yeah, side two's only got like 3 songs on it. The Camera Eye, kind of cool. I like the chorus. I am a camera. That whole thing is really kind of cool. But other than that, not that great a song. Witch Hunt, they kind of do like a you know, a satanic sort of tune on there. It's kind of cool. It goes with the new wave of British heavy metal a bit. Vital Signs, just an annoying song to me. That whole signs everywhere's a sign blocking up the scenery thing. I mean, every time I hear that, it drives me nuts. So yeah, just not a big fan of this album. I know some people are, you know, the deep Rush fans are like, oh, this is the cool Rush album if you're like a deep fan sort of thing, right? Kind of like it's either Caress of Steel or Moving Pictures for those people, right? They're very annoying. But yeah, so some people like claim to be able to get through this record, but I think, you know, if anybody was kind of honest with themselves, they'd really realize it's quite insufferable, as they say, and it's kind of proven by the whole tour situation. Like, you know, here on the Contrarians, we do like to go through the whole tour stats thing and how did the band do. You know, most of these songs got played live like a few times during the tour, and this tour got truncated because it was just going down like a lead balloon. So, you know, out of these, I would say Limelight and Tom Sawyer probably have been played. you can't really trust set list perfectly, but I would say both of those might have got played 20, 25 times each, and then they were never heard from again. And some of these other ones never got played live at all. So a lot of people don't really know these songs. I mean, it as a deep sort of, you know how we do the Dark Horse series too, as a deep Dark Horse series sort of album. I mean, you could probably get something out of it. Again, things something like a Red Barquetto or a Limelight. You got your Fountain of Lamneth sort of fans who might like some of these songs or have heard of them, frankly. But yeah, Movie Pictures, not that good an album. And like I say, basically these songs, later on they would do tours where they bring back some of these rarities like Tom Sawyer and yeah, YYZ sometimes. YYZ is good because had they played it more, Geddy might not have lost his voice as much because it is an instrumental, right? So it gives you a break. So but it's a song literally that those guys played like 9 or 10 times on kind of like a Western Canada tour. But yeah, so that's it with that. And like I say, when it comes to these records, or this band, put it that way, I do like some of the later ones quite a bit better. Oh, I left it across the room there, but where's my? Well, I do have my Roll the Bones album out here, which I really like. Like I say, I mean, these guys are never going to rise to sort of the intellectual heft or standards or musicality or craft of like a Flock of Seagulls or Duran Duran, but during these records, like your Hold Your Fire era and Presto and this, they almost kind of got there. You could have said that they've got that newness and that freshness of these great UK bands. Songs like Ghost of a Chance and Neurotica, You Bet Your Life, The Big Wheel. I mean, these are some of the classic Rush hits, Face Up, Bravado. Where they almost got to be kind of like a cool band, right? But still, like I prefer when they kind of like went with that whole just like Sabbath and Blue Oyster Cult and some of the Budgie certainly went heavy. They're like the Welsh version of Rush, right? But the singles album, Grace Under Pressure, Power Windows, those records where they were kind of participating in that whole new wave of British heavy metal thing and being much heavier and putting aside the keyboards. There's a lot of Casio and Farfisa and Mellotron all over this thing, and it's just quite dull, right? So there you have it. There's your worst album edition. Put this up with Ryan's. And have we ever done Build a Bad Rush album? I don't think we have. So we might do something like that. But yeah, let us know what you think in the comments below. I'm not sure when Marco is getting this thing up, but yeah, hopefully it's soon. But yeah, let us know what you think in the comments. Is Movie Pictures the worst Rush album? And subscribe. You can join our Patreon situation where basically if you join the Patreon, you can come on our panels. We just did a Rush Dark Horse album on Caress of Steel. That's like an hour 20 long, and it's cool. We put together these little panels to do these things. But yeah, thank you to all you Patreon subscribers. That's the coolest way you can support this channel. We've got some merch as well. But like I say, when you do that, you can be on these panels with us, which frankly are some of the funnest things I get to do in this show. So again, Rush, obviously they're no more, sadly, for circumstances. We lost Neil. Geddy's out there. He's, Geddy and Alex think about doing new music and stuff now and again. Alex did get into a bit of a band situation, but they never. I mean, it took them a long time to get any sort of success and any critical acclaim. Like when you get up to that Presto Roll the Bones thing, they finally start selling a few records. But yeah, sadly, you get up, up into Clockwork Orange and those albums at the end, Snakes and Ladders and all that. And that's it. I mean, we lose Neil after that, sadly to brain cancer, right? And Geddy and Alex, of course, are still with us, but there's no more Rush. There's no more really talk of doing Rush, like they said in the Banger movie. There is no Rush without that guy, and that's obviously the case. So they're not even really considering it, sort of thing. So yeah. that's it. We shall talk to you again next time, and try this album out. I mean, some of you guys might like this, but check it out. It's definitely something. There you go.